One of the most common mistakes that I see consumers make when dealing with a collection company is that they get emotionally involved when communicating with a collection company. And this usually results in that collection company or the consumer escalating matters to ends to where it's not necessary, when a lot of the situations could be resolved through level head communication. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kenny Johnson. I operate a credit repair company here in Montreal, Quebec, and we service all of Canada. So just to jump right into the topic, we work with thousands of clients. We have clients in every province, and I've come across multiple situations to where clients try to take on communicating with collection companies themselves, and they actually end up escalating matters. And so what usually happens here, it starts off as a normal conversation, and then the collection company doing what they're going to do, which is press the consumer because their job is to close the sale, because this debt is just a commission for that sales rep, which is all they are at the end of the day. They may have a different title for themselves, but they're just a sales rep. So they're going to pressure that consumer and try to do and say everything that they can to get the debt from you as a consumer. And so a lot of times they're going to say things to press your buttons, and you not being skilled or knowing what to say against a collection company, you're in most situations, you're going to escalate matters. I've seen it reach the points where the collection company said, we're going to show up to your place of residence, which if you put yourself in that situation, that could be very stressful. Even if the collection company isn't serious, understand that a lot of collection companies will actually show up to your personal residence. It's not common. It's not a common thing that happens, but I have seen this happen to where maybe they actually do show up to your residence and try to collect on the debt. I've had clients in the past share this information with me. So we know it does exist, but we don't want to escalate matters to that point. What I always recommend, if you don't feel comfortable communicating with a collection company, then you can always work with a third party source. If you are going to act independent of a third party source, then we want to make sure we keep all communications via email or by a letter. This gives us time to think and reflect on our response before we start communicating with this collection company. But if you're going to be communicating on the phone with the collection company, understand that you're taking a huge risk, because a lot of these conversations happen at a moment's notice. Collection companies can say things to leverage against you. They record the phone calls, and they can also use that against you as well. And a lot of times consumers are not aware that this actually happens. But when we are writing emails or we're sending letters over to collection companies, registered mail, what we have now is a paper trail that we can use to communicate directly to those third party collection companies. And so that's what we want. We want a paper trail, a log of conversation between you, the consumer, and that collection company. What we don't want is sporadic conversation that isn't really going anywhere. And so this is what actually happens when you're working with a third party company, such as a credit repair company. They're able to represent you on your behalf. They're able to communicate with you, and they don't take the conversation personal because it is not their debt. And I think that's a huge thing that people don't really see. Like that credit repair company, they deal with this a thousand times over with all of their clients. They know how to negotiate. They know what to say in what situation. Whereas you, the consumer, you may feel as if you're being treated unfairly, and so you may close up all negotiations. To whereas with a credit repair company, we may go back and forth, and we'll be more persistent than that consumer. We know how long the process takes. We understand that it may take a year of us negotiating. For example, a lot of people say that pay for deletion isn't a realistic option in Canada, but the truth is, we actually see it a lot of times. Sometimes you have to ask more than once. People assume that if I just ask for pay for deletion the first time, I'm going to get it right away. A lot of times you have to do a lot of back and forth between you and those collection companies to actually reach an agreement. If you're disputing a collection company because you feel like there's an inaccuracy on those accounts, a lot of times we have to go back and forth between Equifax and TransUnion before we can reach a result that the client is happy with, which is usually the account being removed off of the credit report. There's clients that we worked with for 14 months. They understood the process, that it's going to be a long process, but those clients that don't do well, it's because they have this short-term mindset and they expect things to be completed and finished within a few months, right? So again, this is all to say, when we're working against a collection company, we're having everything in documentation, we're having everything in writing, but we're not having phone conversations because, again, these can be used against you. Now, if you are currently dealing with a collection company and you don't know how to navigate the situation, again, my company is here to help you out. You can send us an email, info@kennyjohnsonuniversity.com. and we'll be happy to help. Until next time, peace.